Hello everyone. So today we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equations. So this is the general form of quadratic equation, and we know quadratic equation variable maximum power is 2. Like if I write 3x square plus 2x plus 5, so maximum power of variable is 2. So this is the example of quadratic equation. We are going to solve it by factorization, by completing the square using formula. So let's start with factorization. So this is the general form of quadratic equation. A, B and C are constant numbers and A cannot be 0, because if A is 0, this term is going to vanish and it will become linear equation, right? So let's take an example. So we have 3x square is equals to 27. So first we take this 27 other side of equal sign. So this positive 27 will become negative 27 and we are going to get 0 this side. Now 3 and 27, the common factor, their common factor is 3. So we can take 3 out, right? Common. And if I take 3 out, the in first term only x square will be there, right? And 3 times 9 is 27. So we are going to have 9 here, right? So we get 3. If we take 3 out, we get x square minus 9 is equals to 0. Now we can use this identity, which is a square minus b square is equals to a plus b and a minus b. If you notice here, x square minus 9, this can be written as x square minus 3 square, because 3 square is 9, right? Now we have 3 x minus 3 and x plus 3. We can expand this as x minus 3 and x plus 3, because this is of this form, a square minus b square, which can be expanded as a plus b and a minus b. Now is equals to 0. If we take this 3 this side, this will become 0. So we have x minus 3 is equals to 0. We equate this with 0 and x plus 3 is equals to 0, right? Now from here we get x is equals to 3, and from here we get x is equals to minus 3, because when you move this negative 3 this side, you get a positive 3, and when you move this positive 3 to other side of equal sign, you get negative 3. So that's how we do how we solve quadratic equation using factorization. Let's see one more question. We have this. Now here you can see only x is common factor, right? So you take x outside. Now you have, because you took one of the x outside, you have one x left, and here only 3 is left. You took x out. Now you can equate this x with 0, and then you equate this 5x plus 3 with 0. So you write x is equals to 0 and this is equals to 0. So from here, if you see, you can write 5x is equals to negative 3, right? If you take this positive 3 other side of equal sign, then you get negative 3. Then you divide both side with 5 and you get x is equals to negative 3 over 5, right? So these are the two solution, x is equals to 0 and this. Now let's see one more question. Let me make, let's see, we have negative 2 x cube, no, not cube, actually x square plus 6x is equals to 0. Now in this question we can see we have x common, because both of them have x, and 2, right? If we take 2x common, we get negative x here, and this side we have 2 times 3 is 6, so 3, right, is equals to 0. So we can equate, first we equate 2x with 0. Here if we divide both side with 2, we get x is equals to 0. Then we equate this with 0, so negative x plus 3 is equals to 0. If you move x that side, you will get x is equals to 3, right? So that's how we solve. Now other way is, like if we have this form, ax square plus bx plus c, this, how do we solve this type of quadratic equation? First we need to look for two numbers which multiply together to give this constant. And because we need to check first term coefficient and last constant, so the coefficient of first term x square is 1, and constant is 6. If you multiply 1 with 6, you get 6. So you need to look for two numbers that if you multiply them, you should get 6, and middle term coefficient is negative 5, and if you add them, you should get negative 5. So if you see, 3 times 2 is 6, right? But if you add 3 and 2, you get positive 5. So that's not going to work. Now if I add negative sign with them, negative 3 times negative 2 is 6, right? Because when you multiply two negative numbers, you get a positive answer. And when we add negative 3 and negative 2, we get negative 5. So that is going to work, right? So the two numbers are negative 3 and negative 2. So we can use these two numbers to write negative 5x. So we can write negative 5x as negative 3x and negative 2x, right? We can split this into these two. So this is my question, x square minus this. You can notice this term we have written it as negative 3x and negative 2x. Now from first two terms, these two terms, x is common, so we take it out. Only x minus 3 left inside parenthesis. Then in these two terms, 2 is common, so we take negative 2 common. That's why we have to change this sign, because when we are taking negative sign common, the sign will change. So even you can check this two, if you to multiply them, you are getting above. So that's correct, right? If you take 2 common, here you get 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So now these two parentheses has to be same every time. So you write them once, the other bracket is going to be x minus 2. Okay, these two number are going to form other bracket. Now you equate both of them with 0 like this. Then you move this term here. So this negative 3 becomes 3. If you move this negative 2, this will become positive 2. So that's your answer, 3 and 2. So these are the two solutions. Clear? Let's see some more example. We have this quadratic equation. Now we need to look for two numbers which multiply and give you, first you check first coefficient of x square and constant number. So if you multiply 2 with negative 2, you get negative 4. So you need two numbers which multiply to give negative 4 and which add together to give middle term, which is 3. So which two number I need to take? If I take 3 and 1, I mean 4 and 1, 4 times 1 is 4, but I need negative 4. So if I take negative 4 times 1, that's negative 4, and if I add them, I get negative 3. So that's not going to work. I need positive 3. As you can see here, this is positive 3. So if I make my 4 positive and negative 1, right? Because bigger number should be positive to make 3 positive. So this is going to work. So basically I can write 3x as 4x minus x, right? Because 4x minus x is 3x. So this is my question. 3x, at place of 3x we wrote 4x minus x. Now from first two terms, these two terms, you can take 2x common. You are left with x and 2. From these two terms you can take negative sign common, because there is nothing common in x and negative 2. So you just take negative 1 common. You can write 1 over here, or even if you don't write, that work. So from these two terms, let's say we take negative 1 common. So these two brackets has to be same. So we write them once, x plus 2, and other bracket is 2x minus 1. This. So 2x minus 1, now we equate both of them with 0 like this. And now if you take this positive to other side, it become negative 2. This, you take this one other side, it become positive 1. Then you divide both side with 2 to get x. So x is 1 over 2, right? So these are our solutions. Okay. Let's see some more examples. So now we have this question. So basically, if you notice, this is not in the standard form. Standard form is this: ax square plus bx plus c is equals to 0. First we write highest degree term, then x, then constant. So highest degree is this 4x square. Then after this 12x should be there. It is positive, but if you move it this side, it becomes negative. And then we have 9 constant term is equals to 0. Now if you multiply, we always multiply first term, coefficient is 4 and last term is 9. So 4 times 9 gives you 36. Now you need to look for two numbers which multiply to give 36, and they should add. When we add them, we should get negative 12. So if you see, 6 times 6 is 36, right? And but if you just do 6 times 6, you get positive 12. You need negative 12. So if you put negative 6 and negative 6, right, then you get, if you multiply them, you get a positive 36, but if you add them, you get negative 12. So that is going to work. So basically, in this question, the middle term is negative 12x. So you are going to write negative 12x as negative 6x and negative 6x. Now from first two terms, you can take 2x common. So you are left with 2x and negative 3 here. From last two terms, you can take 3 common, right? Because you are taking negative sign common also, so this sign will change. Positive will become negative. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 2 is 6. So that's how you take common. These two brackets has to be same. We write them one time, and the other bracket is made from here, 2x minus 3. That's how you got. Now you equate both of them to 0, and then you have 2x minus 3, right? So if you take this minus to other side, this minus 3 will become plus 3. Then you divide both side with 2, you get x is equals to 3 over 2. So these are your two solutions. Okay, sometimes answer can be same. So that's how we solve it, right? So basically, like if in this question you see x square minus 3x minus 2. So here we are looking for two numbers which multiply to negative 2 and add to negative 3. But this like if you think of these numbers, we don't get these numbers, right, which multiply and give us negative 2 and add up to negative 3. So this, how do we factorize or how do we solve these kind of questions? So we need another approach, we need another method to solve these kind of questions, right? So we have learned how to how to solve using factorization, right? But if we can't get numbers, if we are looking for two numbers that multiply and give certain number and add up to certain number, if we are not able to get those factors, those numbers, we need another approach. So that another method is completing the square. Let's see how we do this. So let's take the same example. In this question, in order to complete square, we look at first two terms and try to write them in the form of completing square. Completing square means, like if there is an identity which is called a plus b whole square is equals to a square plus 2ab plus b square, right? If we put a negative sign here, everything remains same, this term will become negative, right? So we need to write our answer in this form, a plus b whole square. Okay, so let's see. Now this is my question. Basically, um, we know that it is first term is going to be x because it's x square, right? A square, because first we write a plus b. we are not sure about b, but first term is going to be x, right? Because it is x square. So we need, we know x plus something is going to be there and whole square, right? So how do we do it? We check this term, the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? Negative 3. Okay, we do half of it. So negative 3, half of negative 3 is negative 3 over 2, right? And then we write x minus 3 over 2 whole square. Okay, that is how we write it. Whatever is our question, we check second term, coefficient of x, we do half of it and then we write it. But if we are subtracting a term, like this is what we have, this is my question. I What I did is I did half of second term and wrote x minus half of second term is 3 over 2 and I wrote whole square. The same term I am supposed to, like here, I am supposed to write it again, because if I'm adding it I need to subtract it, right? So 3 over 2 square, I will subtract it. Okay, and the next term is negative 2, which I wrote as it is. So I wrote x minus 3 over 2, square of 3 is 9, and square of 2 is 4. So 9 over 4 minus 2. Then if I solve it, 4 times 2, because there is nothing in the denominator, I can write 1. Now I can make it 4 by multiplying it with 4, right? I can make common denominator. So I will get 8 over 4. Then this is going to be 4, 9 and 8. If I add them, I get negative 17. That's how I got negative 17 over 4. Then if I take it to other side of 0, I get 17 over 4. What I do next is this square, I have square one side. To remove it, I square root both side. So when I square root both side, this cancel out. Now I am having square root this side. Square root of 4 is 2, right? So I have this. I take negative 3 over 2 other side and it becomes positive 3 over 2, right? So this, because I got two, like when I have positive 17 root 17 over 2 and negative root 17 over 2, that's why I got two answers, with one with positive and one with a negative sign. Okay, now let's see some more questions. uh, or let me just explain this one again. First of all, so first we need to check second term. So like here my second term is negative 3. So we do half of it and square it. That's how we got whole square term. Now because I added it, 3 over 2 square, I need to subtract it. So I subtract square of it and write whatever my constant term is. Then I solve it and I move it other side. I square root both side, right? And that's how I got two values, because when we square root a number, we get two values, positive and negative, right? Like square of negative 2 is 4 and square of positive 2 is 4. That's why we get two values. So that's why we got two answers. Okay. Now other way of solving quadratic equation is using a formula. So which is called quadratic formula. This is quadratic formula. This. So let's do it. Suppose this is my question. So if I compare it with this, ax square plus bx plus c. So my a is coefficient of x square, a is 1, and b is coefficient of x, which is negative 3, and c is just constant term, which is negative 2. Always remember you have to write sign also. Like if you write positive 2, that's going to be wrong. So it's negative 2. Then We plug all these values. B is negative 3. So this negative, there are two negative sign. This is from formula and this is the value of B. B square negative 3 square 4 times A is 1 and C is negative 2. Then 2 times A is 1, so 2 times 1. 3 square 9, 4 times 2 8. This two negative number give you positive 8, and then you add them, you get 17. So 3 plus minus square root of 17 over 2. So you got two roots, 3 plus square root of 17 over 2 and 3 minus square root of 17 over 2. So this is quadratic formula. Using this we can solve questions. If the quadratic equation is not in standard form, first we need to convert it into this form. Okay, like this. First we write x square term x, then constant, and then just find a b c and plug the values and solve it. And that's the method, right? um, okay, thank you.